So the last team we converted was it was the Australian cricket team. And there were 4 players on this team who have admitted to converting. And I don't know how many others have converted. But I want to introduce you to 2 of them. And this is Shane Watson, who struggled all his life with obesity. Well, not with obesity, obviously. He said, I always had to starve at the start of the season, and I was convinced I was always going to be fat. I said, Shane, tell me about your father. He's got type 2 diabetes. And he said, absolutely. Australian cricket, unable to control his weight using conventional methods, family history of type 2 diabetes, weight control, effortless on a high-fat diet. He says amazing. Getting up and eating steak and eggs for breakfast is just amazing. Now, the other chubby guy on the team was a guy called David Warner. And David Warner was the chubby little guy on the team. And now look at this. Okay, there's no metabolic syndrome. He just scored 100 runs, which is... And up to May last year, he was the world's best cricketer. And he said the change was also astonishing. I've increased my energy. It's helped my recovery. I'm not out of breath when I run between wickets when batting in cricket, which is interesting. That's an interesting observation. So, and then if you're watching the Rugby World Cup, Australia are one of the competitive teams. I think New Zealand probably win, but Australia are going to come close. And they're going to come close because of this guy. And David Pocock, there's a whole story, and I'll take 10 minutes, so I can't tell you about it. But actually, he's a Zimbabwean like myself. And he wrote to me a few months ago, he wrote to me, so the point is, if you're watching the Rugby World Cup, watch for number 7 or number 8, Australia. If Australia win, it's because of this guy. He's special. And this is what he said. For the past 3 years, I've been following a diet based on Weston Price and Sally Fallon's work. And after seeing your work on banting, I finally decided to give it a go about 6 months ago. I'm feeling fitter and stronger than I ever have. And he's playing brilliant rugby, and this is a guy playing at the highest level and is now on the banting diet. And he was also insulin resistant. So now I've given you some of the background. Now let's look at what the science is, and I've just got 2 more slides. And we looked at the studies of low carbohydrate diets, and it turns out there are only 11 studies. You ask, why is there only 11 studies? Because there's no industry that's going to fund these. There are probably 11 studies a month on carbohydrates. So there's publication bias. It's very important to understand that. There's so much data on carbohydrates and so little on fat. And of these studies, very few are long-term studies. They're like a week study adaptation. 3 showed significant positive effects, 4 a non-significant effect favoring the low carbohydrate group, 2 no effect, and a further 2 showing a clearly negative outcome. So, but there has to be real concerns about placebo effects, because you can't hide the placebo effect when you're doing a high-fat diet. So it's almost impossible actually to do this research, except if you're studying metabolism. But if you're studying performance, very, very difficult. But if you looked at those studies, you'd say there's no evidence to say that a high-fat diet definitely impairs your performance, and there's no evidence to say it definitely improves your performance. But this is the key, and this is what we forget. We forget that sport is not just a laboratory time trial over 100 kilometers in a laboratory. There are no studies the effects of low carbohydrate diets of ease of weight control, and I've shown you how easy those guys found it controlling their weight, capacity to train, and ability to recover from training. These athletes, when they adapt, like David Pocock, will tell you that I recover more quickly. From a bruising game like rugby, I recover more quickly. Their immune function and injury risk and their hand-eye coordination or capacity to concentrate in sports like golf and cricket. And that's what the cricketers tell us. They say it's much easier to concentrate now because I'm not getting these glucose insulin spikes all the time. So the point is that that's what research needs to do. We can't just study people in a laboratory over a 100-kilometer time trial.